All right, everyone, welcome tonight to yet another edition of what I believe will be a spectacular training tonight for a lot of you that are looking at advancing your skill set in what I believe is one of the most important aspects of our business, and that is in the prospecting aspect of our business. We're going to get started in just a second or two. I just want to take a second here to welcome everyone that is on the webinar tonight, whether you're catching the webinar live this evening or if you are hearing it as a recording at some point in the future. I think that you've made, not that I think, I'm absolutely convinced you've made a great decision in carving out time in your schedule to develop skills even greater than what you may have currently. Now, I know most people who consider this aspect of our business, they feel that they are somewhat inadequate. They feel as if they're lacking certain skills. They're deficient in confidence, deficient in skill set, deficient in feeling comfortable in the prospecting aspect of this business. And then there's some of you that are very, very comfortable. You've developed great skills at it. But as any good entrepreneur, as any good builder of a business, you always work on getting better. And so whether you're on the webinar tonight as a seasoned individual or you are on the webinar as an individual looking to shore up and ramp up your skill sets in this particular part of the business and you need some help, or if you're brand new and you're looking at ways to begin to develop good habits that will have great dividend to you in your business building, then however you've arrived at the right time. You've arrived with good intent, and I'm going to encourage you to keep an open mind to what we're going to discuss tonight. I also encourage you to keep, if you don't have that handy already, make sure that you grab yourself a piece of paper and a pen to jot down some good notes. As some of you who are privy to my prior webinars or have been on my conference calls or other aspects or other avenues of information sharing, you know that I tend to get very excited. I love what I do, so we get excited about it, and I have a tendency to talk very, very quickly at times. So you don't want to miss anything. But if you jot something down as I go through this information, you could either refer back once we're done. You could always send me an email or a text message and say, hey, Jay, can you clarify that? I missed it. Or if you don't have a pen handy, or if you're driving, I know some of you are driving and are listening to the webinar in the audio version. I am recording this, as I mentioned earlier, and I will have it available at my YouTube channel within a few days, so you could hear it again and again and again, get the training over and over again. And if you're smart, you will capitalize on the recording, take the next steps, the necessary steps to develop, to continue advancing your skill sets and pick up more resources to do that, but more importantly, become the master copy and pass the skill set, train on the skill sets to your organization. If you are here in this business, you understand the nature of our model is to become the master copy and then teach others what you do. So if you're on the webinar, you're in for a treat tonight because you're going to develop great skill sets. You're going to sharpen existing skill sets so that you could become a prospecting master and a great copy, a great carbon copy to your organization. Now, I wanted to open up, just take a few minutes. I know at these webinars, we have oftentimes brand new people that are on the webinars that are plugging in for various reasons and even from various companies, which is fine. We have an open door policy that wherever you're from, if you're an eager, hungry, ambitious entrepreneur who's looking to build a business, then these particular skill sets that I talk of often enough are valuable to anyone, regardless of what company or industry or what business you're building. So it's important to recognize that it's an open door policy here. So there are many of you that have not been on my webinars before who don't know a little bit about my story. So I wanted to share with you a little bit about my personal story so you know where we've come from and what we are intent on doing. I've been in this business now for over 25 years. I enjoy the nature of our business. I enjoy the fact that it is a people-oriented business. It is a contact sport, as many of you have heard that cliche before. But interestingly enough, because of where I'm at in New York, which I believe is one of the toughest areas, toughest states to build this business, and those of you that are New Yorkers know exactly what I mean, and if you've been around for a while, you know exactly what I mean. It's a tougher area to build a business for a handful of reasons. But what made it worse for me was when I began to build this business, I was the ripe old age of 21 and didn't really have a big market, didn't have many centers of influence. I certainly wasn't an influence. I was influenced by other people, but I wasn't a center of influence, and I had to learn hard, in a hard way, in the trenches, these skill sets that I now believe I've perfected, I've mastered, and many of you who have, again, been on my webinars before and have had time to speak with me and have known me, you would attest to the same. In fact, I was talking to someone earlier today, sharing with him this webinar tonight, and he had been at a couple of different companies, and now he's at a new company, similar model to ours. And one of the things that I had shared with him was that mentorship makes a big difference in the success you're going to have if you are open to being mentored. And we started to talk a little bit about that, and as we were talking and going through a few things, 10 minutes into the conversation, he says, "Hey, Jay, you can stop right there. You've only given me about 8 to 10 minutes of stuff, but I could hear it in the confidence in your voice. I could sense it in your tone. The vibrations are just flowing right through the cell phone here. I know you know what you're talking about. So where do we start?" And you can't hide the confidence that comes from knowing what you're doing. Isn't that true? You can't hide that. By the way, you also can't fake that. You can't fake that you know what you're doing. You can try, but it's only a matter of time before someone smells you out. So you best get to know what you're doing and get to know it well so that you can have authentic confidence, authentic credibility, so that person that you're speaking to can not only hear it in your voice, but sense it in your presence and in the confidence of your tone. That ultimately is what's most important, and that's what I've developed over the course of the last 25 years in this business, which it's the reason why I share now what I've learned, and I share with others these skill sets that are so important. And I like to tell you, again, if you're listening this webinar for the first time, you'll pick up right away that I keep it real. I keep it honest. I keep it straightforward. I don't sugarcoat. I think we're at a place in time right now where people that are hungry business people and are looking to do something different and magnificent in their lives aren't interested in hyperbole. They're not interested in sugar-coated messages or fat-free type of training. You know what I mean? They want to know what I got to know so I can get my business going. If I joined an opportunity, it's to make it work. Teach me what I need to do to make it work, and leave the motivation, inspiration for some other time. And I believe many of you that are on the webinar right now are on the webinar for that very same reason. You want the meat and potatoes. So I speak straightforward. I speak with applicable information. You know, yesterday was Sunday, and I was sitting in church, and I was having a conversation with my wife, and the pastor who is an interim pastor is a nice guy. I know him well. He was giving a message, and it was an okay message, but it was rooted in more of a teaching and fundamentals. And I turned to my wife and I said, look at people around. I'm a people watcher. If you're in the business of people, you have to be a people watcher. You have to know dynamics of people. A lot of you have heard me talk about that. That's one of my advantages, one of the things that I believe gives me a leverage. I understand people. I understand how they think. I understand what makes them tick, and you'll see a little bit about that tonight. If not, you can certainly pick it up in my other webinar trainings. But I'm watching people, and as I'm watching people, I can see that the message that the pastor is giving just isn't resonating with anyone. He's not really gripping their attention. He's not holding them in suspense of any kind. In fact, most people look like they were falling asleep. They had a blank look and not really feeling or receiving the message that the pastor was sharing, and it's because he was giving more fundamental, not fundamental stuff, but more of a teaching approach. It was more of a soft approach, and it was nothing that a person could walk out of service yesterday and say, you know what, I just learned something, I'm going to apply it right now. And I turned to my wife and I said, see, there's the flaw in this message. He's not giving anything for the people to walk away saying, you know what, I could apply that right now. That guy's talking to me. He just hit the nail on the head. I just had a tingle that's going to cause me to change the way I think, and I'm starting right now. And take immediate action the minute they got out of church. He didn't do that. I believe that the best message is the straightforward message where you can walk away from the ending of that conversation or that training or that webinar and say, you know what, I just learned something new. I'm going to apply that right now. That's a good training. That's a good meeting. That's what you can expect to get out of this today. And I was asked today by someone else as I kind of launch into the training, and I get asked a lot. And you might be thinking the same thing. So why do you do this? Why do you have webinars? What's the intent to have a webinar? And I'll share that with you. I'll share that with you in a very simple way. I enjoy the business. I enjoy the work. But most importantly, here's what I enjoy. I enjoy sharing what I have learned with other people, pouring into other people so that they can have their own measure of success. Because I know in the end it'll come back to me some way, somehow. I just know that. I'm a believer in that. In one of my prior talks, I talked about if you're a giver, then you're a giver and you can't run away from that. If you're a helper, then you're a helper. You cannot run away from that. If your DNA is wired from birth to be a certain way, then more than likely that's how you will live your life, and you can't run away from that. A fish is a fish, and he can't run away from that. A helper is a helper. He cannot run away from that. So I do these webinars because I get a thrill when people text me and call me and email me and say to me, hey, you just helped me change my business. Hey, what you just said there turned things around for me. I get a thrill out of that. There's many different ways to have fulfillment, and for me, this is one of them. So that's why I do this, for those of you who are wondering, why did we do this? Okay? So what you can expect from tonight's webinar, guys, is exactly what the slide says, mastery. Not mushy, mastery. So I'm not going to get into some mushy stuff here. We're going to get into some hardcore training that is going to elevate your game to the level of master. Now, you might be on the webinar saying, hey, I haven't even understood the fundamentals. Well, guess what? You're on a crash course to get closer to become a master. Along the way, you're going to learn some fundamentals anyway, but you're on a crash course to mastery. See, you can't play this game at anything other than a master level. Let me just say that again. You cannot play this game, and when I say this game, I mean the entrepreneurial game. And specifically in our industry, you cannot play this game at anything other than a master level. And how do I know that? Because you can size up anyone in our company, in your company, at any company that has achieved a great degree or a decent degree at minimum of success, and you could absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, agree and testify that that person is a master of what they do. Isn't that true? If you think about the person who is your leader, your mentor, who's successful, that you're running after, that you're modeling yourself after, the one thing you cannot deny is that that person has achieved a level of mastery in his craft. So don't be fooled, don't be deceived. You cannot achieve that type of success until you become proficient at minimum, master at the ultimate. Does that make sense? So we're going to talk about that. You can expect to get some of that here today. Fundamentals right through the mastery level, and we're going to run pretty quick. But I want to first get into the outline of the conversation we're having on this webinar. We're going to talk about mindset and how that plays an important role in becoming a prospecting master. We're going to talk about preparation and why that's important and how preparation is different from planning. You can prepare all you want, but if you don't actually plan an action or have an action plan, then all the preparation in the world is not going to do you any good, right? I would imagine that many of you have at one point or another prepared to do something. You read about it, you practiced it, you thought about it, you visualized it, you got all the wardrobe, all the stuff you had to do, but you never really planned on how to do it, or never really planned a set course of action to get yourself in gear. People do that all the time. When I was a personal trainer, I talked to people all the time. And they would read the books on losing weight. They get all the diet plans. They would do all the things that they need to prepare to lose weight. But here's the problem. They never showed up to the gym. They just never showed up to the gym. Or at least they didn't show up enough. So you got to plan to go to the gym, right? You can prepare all you want, but if you don't plan on going to the gym, you're going to have a tough time. And then you have to have a prospecting playbook. You have to have a set amount of plays that's going to give you the best results that you can tap into over and over and over again, and then it'll give you a predictable result. Most people fly by the seat of their pants when it comes to prospecting, and then they wonder why they fail. You cannot do that. You cannot wing it in this part of the business. It's impossible to wing it and then deceive yourself to think that you're going to have success. So, mindset. A few pointers here. My perspective. By the way, I just want to share with you that as I was having a conversation with another person earlier today, he says to me, hey, some of the stuff you share is fantastic, but the topics are similar to some of the stuff that he learns from his mentor in his business. And I said, that's great. I said, that's right. I said, baseball is baseball. The fundamentals of baseball are the fundamentals of baseball. What's different? One coach's perspective from another. See, a great baseball player can master the fundamentals by hearing different perspectives from different winning coaches. And that makes him a better baseball player, doesn't it? Absolutely. Hey, you can have your kid in high school and he's learning math, and math is math, right? But why is it that he'll have different results potentially from the experiences that he has with different teachers? Why? It's still math, but different teachers, different perspectives, different insights, different experience. So culminating all of it together produces a better you. Isn't that true? So these fundamentals are my perspective, my experience on why they're important. Number one, beyond a shadow of a doubt, you have to understand the law of large numbers. If you're going to be a prospecting master, you cannot deceive yourself to think that on any given day, your teeny-weeny, pee-wee prospecting numbers are going to produce any type of massive result. It just doesn't happen. Matter of fact, it's one of the laws of the universe. It's an unwritten law of the universe that large numbers are tantamount to producing results. You cannot expect great results to any significant. Now, you might get lucky every now and then. You might have a fluke event every now and then and operate small numbers, and all of a sudden, from that small number, from that small amount of activity, get lucky and hit a big one, right? Maybe you land a big account or a big sale or a new colleague. But that's not the norm. That's why they call it a fluke. It's not the norm. The norm is that unless you have a large numbers approach to your prospecting, you will not have you won't have a high probability of having the type of results that it takes in order to have your business significantly grow. I hope I said that well. Secondly, you have to develop daily disciplines. Now, it kills me. It just kills me. And I guess that's just a trainer in me, just a coach in me. When I speak to entrepreneurs and business developers and business builders, and I ask them to run by me the last 5 days. And it's amazing how the last 5 days are not consistent in terms of activity, not consistent, choppy, a little bit here, a little bit there. Absolutely no discipline, no consistency to their prospecting. I'm talking about prospecting. There's other daily disciplines you have to develop as well, but for the purposes of what I'm sharing with you, I'm talking about the daily disciplines of prospecting. In other words, it has to be a daily effort. It cannot be an every other day effort. Let me give you something to think about. If you are a leader on this call, you probably are well aware that the majority of the people in your organization only think about prospecting 24 hours after a big event, after your weekly meeting. It becomes fresh in their mind again. But 48 hours later, they're back to a very small, very zombie-like, or drone-like approach to daily prospecting. Isn't that true? Some of you know what I'm talking about. It's like going to church, right? You only think about it on Sunday and a little bit afterwards. After that, the next 2, 3, 4, 5 days, for a lot of people, right? The daily disciplines are gone. Well, in our business, those daily disciplines, if they don't exist, not only will you retard your success drastically, but you're probably going to quit anyway, because you won't get enough momentum by spurts of activity enough to stay. And people don't stay at something that they're not winning at. Daily disciplines, if you're going to be a prospecting master, has to begin immediately, has to begin tonight or tomorrow. You have to turn on your radar all the time. What's that mean? Your prospecting radar is never off. I know so many who shut that prospecting radar off on the weekends. Give an example. We were in New York. I'm in New York. And this past week, we had a pretty big snowstorm. Those of you that are in our part of the neck of the woods, you remember we had a pretty bad snowstorm last Tuesday and Wednesday. Pretty bad. Well, I would bet to say that on that Tuesday, most people were home, most people were not at work, and the mind tends to relax when the environment around you says to relax. Have you figured that one out yet? It's something about the weekend, and even though we're in business, right, guys? And even though you're in business, you're an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur, there are no weekends in the entrepreneurial world. There's days on the weekly calendar that happen to fall in the common known time frame of a weekend, but our weekend is not the same weekend, quote unquote, like the average employee. Isn't that true? So if our weekend isn't the same weekend as the average employee, then we cannot embrace it like the average employee does. How do they embrace it? It's the weekend. Oh no, don't talk to me about work. No, it's the weekend. It's Sunday. Hey, it's Saturday. Hey, it's snowing. You don't expect me to do any work when it's snowing. Who am I going to call? And that's the deadly mindset that you embrace, which, unbeknownst to you, turns down the radar on prospecting. You can never turn off the radar on prospecting, whether it's Saturday, Sunday, or it's snowing. The tendency to turn the radar off on a beautiful day doesn't have to snow. On a beautiful day, the tendency to turn the radar off is great, isn't it? You have a beautiful day. Who wants to prospect? Who wants to get out there? Who even wants to talk to people? Even if you have a guy sitting next to you on the beach. If your radar is off, you could miss the next great person in your business, or the next great client, or the next best relationship to develop who can refer you to a bunch of people and change your life. So the radar stays on with fresh batteries. In other words, don't have the radar on and it's not working because your batteries are so dead. Keep your batteries on. Keep your radar on. That is what a prospecting master does. Always has the radar on. By the way, if you don't do it, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if you don't do it, nobody else will do it for you. I talk to our colleagues all the time, and I say to them, do you realize that when you wake up in the morning, you are building your business? It is J. Mamie Inc. When I get up in the morning, I am the CEO, I am the marketing guy, it is J. Mamie Inc. And if I don't work J. Mamie Inc., nobody else is going to work J. Mamie Inc. because nobody else is J. Mamie. If you don't prospect, nobody's going to prospect for you. If you open up a pizzeria as your business and You decided that the pizzeria is going to look beautiful and all the cosmetics are in place. You got a nice brick oven. You got nice dough. You'll have this wonderful menu with all sorts of different types of pizza. And you pick a great location in a particular city, lots of traffic out front and beautiful sign out. And you really spent a lot of time and thought thinking about this wonderful pizzeria. If you do all that, but never open the door for business, keep the gate down, the lights are off, well, who the hell is going to come into your pizzeria to eat business? If you don't open the gate, open the door, turn on the lights, no one else will if you're the owner. In this business, if you don't prospect, nobody else will. So you can't deceive yourself to go a period of a day or two without prospecting and think that somehow, miraculously, people are just going to pop up on your contact list. It doesn't happen. Now, I know why people don't do it, because it's awkward, it's uncomfortable. You run out of people to prospect. You start losing the flavor for the prospecting. It's not fun anymore. We're going to change all that. We're going to change all that. And it'll help you, by the way, create inventory fast. A prospecting master knows how to create inventory fast. Why do people drop out? Why do people get discouraged? Why do people get depressed? Because they run so low on inventory that they're wondering, how am I going to make this work? And how am I going to get more inventory? And soon enough, that little negative voice talks you out of the business and convinces you that this was not for you. It happens all the time. I was talking to a lady, a prospect early this morning from Atlanta. And she says, she had tried the business with someone else. She says, this is not for me. And I said, why not? She says, I don't have anybody to talk to. I said, so your problem is not that you didn't like the business. She says, no, I loved it. I thought it was great. I loved the people. I went to the office. It was great environment, great people, great products. I said, so what's the problem? She says, I don't have anybody to talk to. She says, I didn't think I had enough people, enough inventory, enough of a market, enough contacts to really make the business a success or to even give it a go. When people don't feel or don't see or can't put their hands on a tangible manifestation of a list of names of inventory, they will quit. If you don't create inventory fast when it runs a little low, you will quit. So a prospecting master knows how to create inventory fast. In fact, a prospecting master never lets his inventory run low anyway. And finally, here's what you have to get through. Here's the mindset. You have to get this stuff. You have to get it. What I just said, you have to get it. And I believe most of you that are listening to this webinar get it. But at the end of the day, if you still don't get it, then might as well get out. Because you're going to die a slow death in this business. If you don't understand that the prospecting is the most critical element for you to embrace and to become a master at, then you will die a slow death in this business, and it'll be very, very, very uncomfortable. I've had these types of conversations with some of my own colleagues, and it starts off with, hey, when are you going to get it? And if you never do, then maybe it's time for you to get out. Might be rough, but it's the truth. It's the truth. Now, let's get into preparation. Preparation means you're locked and loaded. It means that you are now ready to engage. When you're locked and loaded, it means you're not pulling the trigger yet. It means you are ready. You are ready to shoot. You are ready for any type of action. In the prospecting business, when you're becoming a master, you have to prepare. It takes preparation. I can't tell you how many times I talk to individuals, and I find that the reason they fail is because they don't prepare. You have to prepare to prospect. What do I mean by that? Number one, your attitude is everything. You have to have your attitude in place. You have to have your attitude in check. You have to be excited about the fact that you are going to potentially meet somebody today that's going to change the rest of your life. And it may be today or it may be tomorrow. But here's what I got for you. And I want you to write this down on your piece of paper. Write this down right now on your piece of paper. Write the word inevitable. Inevitable. Why? Because if you prospect daily, if you keep your disciplines daily, here's what's going to happen. You inevitably will meet someone that's going to turn your business around, whether it's a client, whether it's a colleague, or whether it's someone that will introduce you to someone. Every single winner in our business, in your business, if you were to interview them, can pinpoint that turning point in their business when they met that one person who turned it around, or that handful of people over the course of time that turned it around. I have countless of stories of that, of people that I've met, and when I traced their turning point of success, it was that one person. Well, your attitude has to be that on any given day, I can have an explosion. That's the preparation that has to occur in your mind first. And it has to reflect in your attitude. The attitude is, I'm pumped, I'm excited, because on any given day, it's inevitable that I'm going to meet somebody. It may not be today, but it might be tomorrow. It may not be tomorrow, but it might be the next day. It is inevitable that I am going to meet somebody by continuing to do the right things. It's inevitable. You have to prepare your mind first for that. See, if you don't convince yourself of that, not only will it reflect in your attitude, it will reflect in your body language, it will reflect in your tonality, and people will pick up on that in your vibrations as well anyway. They're going to say, this guy doesn't even believe in what he's saying. If there's one thing people can figure out, or at least conclude when they speak with me, is that maybe they don't believe in anything that I'm talking about, but they believe that I believe that I know what I'm speaking of. They may not believe in the opportunity, but they're convinced that I believe in the opportunity. Do people believe that about you? Well, that is what you will exude in your attitude. Verbal scripts. How do you prepare? You have to be prepared by having the scripting at your disposal so you don't fumble words. You know, the biggest challenge that I find in our business is that most people are concerned about the wording. They're concerned about communication, effective communication. And one of the reasons is they're not prepared. They don't have verbal scripts down. They don't have verbal phrases down. See, if you know what you're going to say before you say it, and you've got that rehearsed and prepared, you will have not only that much more confidence and that much more credibility in your approach, but other people will also see that this guy knows what he's talking about, and they will be convinced that maybe this person is somebody worth following. If your words are fumbled because you're not prepared with them, then not only will you sound shaky, you'll be doubtful yourself, and that's going to lead to inactivity. You need to be prepared, locked and loaded with what you're going to say, your verbal scripts. Know a bunch of them. We're going to talk about planning for those scripts in a second, but you have to have an arsenal of verbal scripts. You have to be what I call a verbal soldier, ready for warfare in the world of verbal war. You have to have your text and email content ready. What's that mean? Someone says, send me an email. What are you going to do? Send them an email 2 days later with some nonsense? Or are you going to say, okay, let me send you an email right now. Boom. And you got it all prepared, ready to go. Brochures attached, videos linked up, everything looks good, your picture, bang. So within 30 seconds, that guy hangs up the phone with you. That person meets you somewhere on your way to work or what have you. That person within 30 minutes, within 5 minutes, within 30 seconds, bang, they got an email or a text message with information already in their inbox. That's being prepared. The worst thing in the world, and a lot of you do this, you get someone to speak with you, they have a level of interest, and then you send them information a day or two later. Foolishness. That is not a prospecting master. That is prospecting, who knows what that is, but it's not mastery. You need to be prepared with what you're going to send. Here's with the next preparation, if you're going to be locked and loaded to be a master of prospecting. You have to have your set minimum daily calls, set minimum daily contacts, whether it's an email, text message, or a phone call. What does that mean? How many are you going to have during the day that you're not going to walk away from until you get it done? Let me give an example of what I mean by that. When I got started in this business, remember I said earlier, we're in the New York City, Manhattan, hardcore, right? I was 21 years old. I didn't have a market. I had to go build one. My market was 6 of my friends, and we were all broke bouncers at the clubs, wearing loop earrings. So we had no market. We had no credibility. So we figured, we have to go out and make new friends. We have to go out and make new market. So we would go to all the crazy things to meet people, and I mean, it's just craziness. And some of my writings, some of my books, I get into some of the things that I did early on in order to get in front of people, and some of the stuff is hysterical. But it helped us overcome the fear of contact and develop this incredible courage and boldness to speak to anyone. And we used to have those little Postits, little Postit stickers, you write little notes on these Postits. And we used to step out of the house, me and my organization, my group of the guys, and we would say, hey, we're not coming back home until we have 20 Postits transferred from our left pocket to our right pocket with a name and a number on it. That was our goal. 20 Post-its with names and phone numbers on it. And guys, sometimes it would take all day. But we did not get back to the office. We didn't call it a day until we had 20. Why? We had a set minimum. What's your set minimum of calls, text messages, emails? What is it? 10, 15, 5? Whatever it is, you need to have. That's being prepared. You cannot begin a day without a set number of contacts. You know why? Because if you do that, by the way, if you don't have a set minimum, then how do you measure whether or not you had a good day? What do you measure? You had a good day because you had 2 good calls? That's not a good day. You may have 1 call, it's a good one, right? And you walk away deceived thinking, I had a good day. No, you didn't. You had a lucky day. You had a lucky day. Go try that the next day and see if it works. It probably won't. So you need a set minimum. And even if you have a bunch of great calls early on, great contacts, great prospects, contacts early on, meet a bunch of great new people, get excited about some new prospects that you're meeting, that you're developing, that you're adding on to your inventory list. It doesn't mean that you stop. If your goal is 10, then don't get all excited. By the time you get 6 or 7, you say, well, I've had a good day. Why bother going for 10? No, you go for 10. You develop the discipline of sticking to your minimum, because tomorrow it might have been the 10th contact that would have been the good one. So you stick to your minimums, but you need to know that's being locked and loaded. And have your contact list prepared. Have your list prepared of who is going to be contacted from prospects that you are intending to reach out to, or a list of people that you have gathered the day before and some of your other prospecting needs. You have to have a list of people that when you sit down and when you get up in the morning, you say, these are the people that are going to hear from me this morning. This is the contacts I'm going to make. This is where I'm going to go digging. If you don't have that, then you are not locked and loaded, and you will not develop any confidence in your prospecting at all. That's what prospecting masters do, guys. Let's get into planning. What's the planning to become as you develop these prospecting mastery skills? Now, by the way, guys, I hope that 30 minutes into this webinar, you're sensing that this is serious business here. This is serious business. You can have a lot of fun, but it takes training and skill development in order to maximize fun. But it is fun once you get it down. Who, where, and how are you going to prospect as part of the planning? Who are you going to target? Do you know who that target is? I'm going to give you some examples in a minute, but that's part of planning now, right? Now you're prepared. You're prepared, right? You're ready. Got your script, your mind, your attitude. Everything's ready. Who are you targeting to prospect today? Where are you planning on going if you're planning on doing what I call on-the-road prospecting or touring prospecting? That's in one of my books, touring prospecting. It means you go on a tour. What's your tour? A prospecting tour. right? I bet you never thought you'd ever go on a tour. Well, that's part of prospecting. You go on a prospecting tour, but where is it today? Where is Wednesday going to take you? Where is Thursday going to take you? Do you know? That's planning. And how are you going to prospect? In other words, what's your approach? How are you going to do it? How? Is it an email? Is it a text message? What's the plan? How are you going to do it? So who, where, and how, very important in the planning stages. And here's something incredibly important. You better know the words, and I mean the comfort words. Remember I said earlier, verbiage, you have to have verbal scripts. I know a lot of scripts, but here's the ones that I stick to, the ones I'm most comfortable with. I was having a conversation with a fellow last week, and one of the things that this fellow says to me, he says, hey, I need to know all the scripts that you have, Jay. And I said, listen, first of all, I appreciate you wanting to know all the scripts that I have and all the ways that I talk to people and the words and all of these things that he was talking about in one of my books. I said, but you'd be crazy if you think you're going to learn all of them. You should have access to them. You should become familiar with them, yes. But you don't have to know all of them because some of them will not sound comfortable to you, and it will cause you to stumble in your words if you trip up over one word or another. Find your comfort words. Guys, all of you have words that are comfort words to you, meaning you have scripts that you're more comfortable using. It flows better. The verbiage is clear. There's clarity in your tone. Don't ask me why that is. It's just a physiological thing. Some people can pronounce words better than others. Some people can use different phrases in a much more credible way. If you give one script to 10 people and you rate all 10, you're probably out of the 10, even though it's the same script. Out of those 10 people, not only will they all sound different, but you'll find 2 or 3 that make that script sing. They just sound like, man, they created those words, like those words were in their DNA all along, and then you'll have the rest of them that'll sound robotic and not really natural. Why? Because there is something about certain words that physiologically sound better in some people. How do you know? It's what Hollywood does when they do scripting, when they have people come in to read a script. You could have great, talented actors and actresses, 15, 20 of them read the same script, and why does the producer pick one over everyone else? Because through that one actress or actor, those words just flow. Well, you've got to find your comfort words. Know the scripts, and then find the one that you're comfortable with. And have a daily goal for new prospects. I said a few minutes ago, a daily set minimum of contacts. Right. But how many new prospects are you going to have for that day? I get up every day, and I know I'm not doing anything until I get 10 contacts in. But those 10 contacts, if I do 10 contacts through one resource or one way or another, if they don't produce for me 3, 4 new prospects, people that I feel good that, hey, I had a good conversation with this person, I'm not stopping until I do. And I'll keep changing the plays into my playbook, which we'll talk about in a minute, until I get my 3 good conversation prospects. 3 prospects that I feel good that I communicated with. 3 really exciting potentials. That's my minimum. You have to have your minimum. Your minimum may be, hey, if I have 2 good conversations with 2 good prospects, it may take me 10, 12, 13 different contacting approaches, but if I can get 2, 3 good prospects, I'll feel good about my day's activity. Well, that's great. And then lastly here, guys, planning. You have to plan for specific time slots to prospect. Now, if you're part-time in the business, you really have to plan this one out. Now, listen, I'm a big believer in prospecting as you go, right? I'm a believer in prospecting as you go, but you cannot buy into that as the be-all and end-all of prospecting. When I have a conversation, oftentimes with people, I say to them, what did you your storefront. You have this storefront that the prospecting storefront. What hours of business were you open? And they say, oh, I was open all day. Great. How'd that work out? How many new names did you get? Well, today was bad. Well, it's because you bought into this prospecting as I go mentality. You didn't specifically set a certain amount of time that you told your brain, hey, brain, from 9 to 10, we're prospecting, pal. Hey, brain, from 2 to 4, we're doing nothing else but tapping into some playbook, prospecting plays from a playbook, and we're going to sit down and we're going to prospect. See, if you tell your brain, or if you convince yourself, I'm prospecting as I go. When I get up in the morning, I'm prospecting all day long. Guess what your brain will tell you? Oh, you got time. Oh, don't worry about it, man. You didn't talk to anyone this morning? That's okay. You still got the afternoon. Some of you know what I'm talking about. And here we come. Well, it's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And what's your brain saying? Hey, we're prospecting as we go. We still got a few hours. We're going to the gym later. We might meet somebody there. And now you wasted the whole 12, 14, 15 hours because you were convinced that I'm prospecting as I go. But that is so deceptive because your mind continues to tell you, oh, you still got a few more hours. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Exactly. You need to set specific time aside where you tell yourself, your brain, hey, from this time to that time, it is prospecting time. That's why I like sometimes when I speak to people and they say, well, we're doing this thing called phone zone. Great, phone zone. At least they're setting aside time. But, you know, most people who have phone zone either don't look forward to phone zone or have a miserable experience because they have nobody to call. They have no prospects. So they set aside the time, or they don't even know how to get prospects. So they're calling the same people, bugging people. At least they're setting aside time, so there's credit to that. You need to set aside time to do specific prospecting and nothing else. And if you're part-time and that's only an hour, then you better give that hour all that it's worth every day if you're going to become a master at this thing. If you're full-time, you better have at least 3 hours set aside. Now, sometimes it's difficult if you're running a business. I get it. But if you don't do it today, you better do it the next day. Today, I didn't put in as much time as I wanted to in my 3-hour time slots. And by the way, those time slots can be broken up. There doesn't have to be 3 consecutive hours. Today, I didn't put in my personal 3 hours of dedicated prospecting time. Nothing else. But tomorrow, I'm putting in the time. It's already in my calendar. What I didn't do today, I'm going to do it tomorrow. So I'll make up for it tomorrow. But you have to have specific slots to do nothing else but prospect. Does that make sense? That's what a master does. Now, let's get into some wonderful stuff here as we start to wrap up. I talked about a playbook. You have to have a prospecting playbook. If you are going to be a prospecting master, you cannot wing this. You cannot wing prospecting activity. You cannot get up every day and somehow figure out, throughout the course of the day, run into massive amounts of prospecting opportunities. It just doesn't happen, guys. You have to have a playbook. Now, 25 years of being in this business, here's what I've developed. A prospecting playbook. What does that mean? It means these are plays that I run when I need to create inventory fast. I said that earlier. See, if you have a set amount of prospecting plays that you know you can run, it becomes exciting. It's fun. Because you can go to the playbook every day and say to yourself, I'm going to try this one. I'm going to run this play today. This LinkedIn stuff, I'm going to do that one today. And then tomorrow, I'm going to do the accountant search. And then I'm going to do the following day, I'll do the manager retail search. And you can create this wonderful calendar or schedule of very detailed prospecting plays so that when you get up in the morning, you don't have this sick feeling in the bottom of your gut because you know you've got the whole day to do something, but you don't know exactly what you're going to do. And nothing is more discouraging, guys, than having a full day ahead of you and nothing solidly planned to how effectively use that day. Isn't that true? It's the worst feeling in the world. Well, you have to have a playbook, a set amount of plays that they work often because you do them often. In other words, they work often so that they work often enough, rather, that you can work them often. For example, I have a set amount of plays that they work often for me, so I work them often, right? If something is working, do it more. But you have to have a playbook in order to figure out which ones work and which ones don't. And if I would ask many of you on the call and many of you who are on the webinar or listening to this in recording, hey, about how many prospecting plays do you have in your playbook, I would get most of you respond, what playbook? What are you talking about? And then if those of you who would say, oh, I get it, a playbook, right, well, I've got about 4, let's see, 3. Well, let me see, I got my family. And then quickly thereafter, you would start babbling some nonsense about your prospecting efforts, which would be just basic baby dribble coming out of your mouth, right? You have to have a playbook. If you look on my screen there, I created a book called The Prospecting Survival Guide. A lot of folks have had great success tapping into a playbook. What's this playbook? It's my personal playbook. It's 22 different ways. I call them gems that have worked for me and for a number of people who have needed a boost in creativity to prospecting. You have to get creative when it comes to prospecting. I am always looking for new ways to meet people, to find people, so I could run my system. You need to do the same thing. You need to create a prospecting playbook. Now, you know that you have a prospecting playbook already. If you've been in this business for a little bit of time, you should have at least 2 or 3. But 2 or 3 is not going to help you build a big business, and 2 or 3 is nothing that would be even considered a prospecting master, and certainly not someone that is worth copying if you're looking to be copied by an organization. You have to have a playbook that runs, and you have to have creative plays added all the time. That's what makes it fun, guys. Let me give you 6 new gems that you're going to love. I told you I was going to give you some good stuff, right? Number 1, let me give you, by the way, in my recent book, Recruiting Mastery, I talked about the timing for prospecting. Prospecting and recruiting, if you're in a business that allows you to do both, which I would hope that you are, because it's a great business system, then you have to do it with wisdom, with tact, T-A-C-T, tact. So I talked about the timing for prospecting. Well, this 6 gems here is the timing for prospecting, meaning now is the opportune time to be able to prospect in these particular, with these particular techniques. Number 1, bridal shows. Bridal season is coming up now. All the bridal shows are being booked. The event planners are now scheduling all of their upcoming wedding events, and all the catering halls are booking now. June wedding season runs right through October, November. So you best get to find out where the bridal shows are being done in your local area and get involved in them. Those are your future clients. Those are your future colleagues. People who get married, have children, they need money. People who are planning a wedding need money. People who get married need services, don't they? Find out in your local town where all the bridal events are coming up, and somehow, some way, get involved to some degree in those bridal events. Somehow. Find a way to get involved in those bridal events. Second thing that's coming up now, coaching opportunities. Now's the spring. You've got baseball. You've got spring football. You've got soccer. You've got swimming. You've got all these great events, these great sporting camps and things that you can get involved in as a parent, as a coach. The communities now are starting to have their tryouts. I know for a fact my own town now in April begins spring football, flag football for the little kids. Well, I took advantage of that about a year and a half ago. My son was 7 years old. When he was able to play, I couldn't wait to coach. I couldn't wait. I could not wait to get in there and start coaching, not only because I love football and I've always had this coaching thing, but then to coach my little guy is great. But it puts me in contact with who? Parents, with a common ground of conversation. Football or soccer. My son's in soccer. Now, I don't really like coaching. I don't like soccer. But I go to the practices and I talk to the parents. Now, what happens when you're a coach, by the way? If you sign up to be a coach, here's what you get access to. Listen to me carefully on this. You get access to the roster of the parents. Hello. Sign up to be a coach, and you get a roster of all the parents of the kids that are on your team that you're coaching. I just about fell on the floor when I went to my first coaching meeting for the coaches, and the guy who runs the league says, here's the forms the parents filled out, get your roster ready. And I had like 24 parents, 24 kids, 24 parents, 24 phone numbers and emails, and I was coaching the kids for like 7 weeks. Did I write some business from that? The answer is yes. Was I able to develop a few colleagues? The answer is yes. Am I still reaping the benefits of that? The answer is yes. Now's a great time. You can't really do that in October, November, December. Why? There aren't that many opportunities. That's a prospecting gem. Opportunity.com. If you go to opportunity.com right now, many of you have never heard of that website, but opportunity.com allows you to set up your profile as a quote-unquote hiring manager. But it gives you a chance to put yourself out there as the person who has opportunity to offer for anyone that's looking for opportunity. And believe me, guys, it is a gold mine. It is a gold mine. Now, you'll need to have proper wording and verbiage and all that kind of stuff. And in fact, that's where you'll need to make sure you're ready with the scripts. Feel free to contact me. I'm working on putting together some templates now that really it's just copy and pasting of what I do. You can have access to that. You can email me at jmaney.com, or you can text me. My phone number is 212-203-1425. I'll be more than happy to send you the templates that I use on opportunity.com. Wonderful success I've had with that. It is one of those prospecting gems that I am working often because it is often working for me. Dance classes. Why is this important? Hey, me and my wife just got involved in dance classes. She's been on me for years to get involved in doing dance classes. She says, hey, Jay, you need to learn how to dance salsa better. I said, I'm already Hispanic. Latin is in my blood. What do I have to practice salsa? I know how to salsa, merengue, bachata. I know all that stuff. She says, no, you don't. She says, it just because you're Spanish don't mean you got the salsa rhythm. And she says, you embarrass me when we go out dancing. So after a while, I said, okay, I gave in, and we started to take some dance classes. We've been doing that for a couple of months. Here's what I find out in those dance classes. You meet couples in dance classes. You meet people that are looking as silly as you are on the dance floor trying to get the two-step down, trying to learn the rumba and the tango. And so you're not the only one on the dance floor looking like somebody tied your ankles together with a rubber band. And they have parties and get-togethers. So what has happened as a result of me learning how to do salsa better? I've met some prospects. I'm looking forward to the parties where there's more prospects. Guys, dance classes are huge. And here's why dance classes are huge. Because the majority of people I've met at these dance classes are taking dance classes because of upcoming weddings that they are invited to, and they want to look good on the dance floor. Guys, prospecting takes wisdom. The wedding season is upon. People will be taking dance classes to look good on the dance floor when they get to those weddings. Dance classes, great great, great prospecting opportunities. Plus, they're fun. And it gives you a chance to relax and have a good time in a very social setting, and that's the perfect setting for prospecting. Very non-offensive, very non-intrusive, very non-business setting, and non-threatening. Great setting. Cooking classes. Why are cooking classes? Similar concept as dance classes. But you know what happens in cooking classes? Now people are, because of the summer, believe it or not, cooking classes have their highest enrollment in the spring. Why? People want to have parties at their homes. They want to have barbecues. They want to cook like Bobby Flay. They want to barbecue, like what's those guys? Some of these cooks on the Food Network and Network Stars, right? So they take cooking classes to impress their friends for summer parties. Find local cooking classes. It'll be a very intimate setting with 6 or 7 couples. You get to know them well over the course of 6, 7, 8 weeks. Wonderful, wonderful way to prospect. The last thing I'll give you is join a team. Again, capitalizing on the season, right? I'm talking about prospecting timing. Join a team. Tons of softball teams now. Bowling. Find a sport that's a summer sport, and there's tons of them, and you join. Let me tell you what happened to me last year. Last year, I joined the local softball team in my town, and I joined because really my brother asked me if I could help out the team. The team was running short of guys. It turns out as soon as I got there within the first couple of games, weekly games, so you get to build a relationship, you get to talk to the guys in the dugout. I built some great relationships, but the third week into the season, the head coach hands out to every player the entire roster of the team, about 25 guys. So what did I have on my hand? 25 prospects of fellow ball players, phone numbers, emails, the whole deal. So what do you think I did once the season was over? Everybody got a call. Everybody got an invitation. Some took me up on it, some didn't. Doesn't matter. Join a team. You'll get the list of the players on that team, guys. Plus, you get a chance to meet other players on other teams because there's always a social gathering after the game. It's a very non-competitive type of sport. That's the one you want to join because it also gives you a chance to build rapport and relationship with the other players on the other team before and after the games are over. Does that make sense to you? If you enjoy playing a sport, find a local team. Even if it's softball, play once a week. A bowling, join a bowling team. Whatever. And you will find it a gold mine in prospecting because you'll have access to people. And again, they'll build a relationship in a very non-threatening social way. Isn't that awesome? And these are 6 new prospecting gems, guys. Let me wrap up here. I've got a ton of other resources available that I'm going to encourage you guys to look into because it's only so much time that you can really, it's only so much information rather that you can provide in I try to keep it to an hour webinar. But there is so much more. I mean, I scratched the tip of the iceberg on how to begin taking the steps towards prospecting mastery. But you can log into my YouTube channel and just search my name and Survive to Thrive, and I've got a bunch of stuff on there. In fact, I'm going to upload this webinar over the next few days. You'll have access to that. You can go to my website, Survive to Thrive. The Survive to Thrive guide website, let me just show that to you. Guys, at my Survive to Thrive website, you have a chance to go through all of the resources that I have available, that I've made available from my Survive to Thrive book. I mentioned some of these books earlier in the webinar, to the recent writing, Recruiting Mastery. You can click right to here. It'll take you right to the Amazon site. This was the predecessor to Prospecting Mastery. It's a fantastic book on the psychology behind recruiting and wording and so on and so forth. But what I did here was I put together in one nice little packet an event that I did called Recruit You. On this particular page, guys, at the website, Survive to Thrive, I've got resources on everything that I've done, and you can click on and read them through. And here's the prospecting survival guide. Here's scripting. Here's all sorts of contacts and emails, and you can copy and paste and use them. Why duplicate? Why reinvent the wheel? So you have that. Let me go back here, and of course you've got I talked about the Amazon. You can find my Recruiting Master on Amazon. And coming up soon, guys, you've got Recruit You 2016 on DVD and audio for a download. I went ahead and did I'm just getting text messages from people that are giving great testimony to the material that they've read, and I appreciate you guys doing that. By the way, I wanted to have testimonials of people that have had a chance to go through some of the training only for the main point of highlighting why pursuing skill development is so important. But I went over the time that I allotted to do this, and I don't want to keep the webinar running much longer than it needs to. But Recruit You 2016, we recorded that last October. It's in the final stages now, being edited. As soon as that becomes available, I will make it, I'll send out notification. It'll be available on DVD and audio download the same way that Recruit You 2015 is available now. Recruit You 2016 was a phenomenal sold-out event. It was excellent. We talked about psychology and having what we call wording advantage and leverage in being able to have effective communication with a potential prospect. Really clever, well done stuff. It was an all-day webinar with role-playing. It was just fun. That'll be available coming up. I'll send out notifications as well. Let me encourage you guys, subscribe to the channel, the YouTube channel. I upload a lot of information there. It's easy for me to do that as opposed to sending out emails and text messages. As our opportunity continues to grow here, it's more and more difficult to reach out to everyone individually. So it makes it easier if you subscribe to YouTube. Even those of you that are listening for the first time, that way as I make things available, you'll have a chance to have that updated information immediately when I upload it on YouTube. And of course, you can contact me through my email or my my phone number, which I gave out earlier. Guys, I hope tonight's webinar was good. I believe that it is based on the text messages that I'm getting. We will definitely continue to do a series of these webinars moving forward. They're fun. I enjoy them. I hope you enjoy them. And once again, thanks for being a part of it. And I wish you guys lots of success in your journey to recruiting and prospecting mastery. Good night, everybody.